Uriah Hall, my brother. What's up, man? Welcome to the Elev8 Event Series Podcast. Thank you for coming on. Y'all, for those of you who don't know who Uriah is, he is a UFC legend, beat Anderson Silva, knockout of like the century, I'm pretty sure. And also one of my best friends, great guy. Thank you for coming on, Uriah.
Thanks for having me.
Well, Uriah, so this is a long time coming. We've been talking about. I think we're gonna do our own podcast in a bit, but thanks for coming on mine. But I think we got a couple things upcoming. But main thing, the next event that you got going on is this karate combat upcoming fight. What are we, a week out? Less than a week out?
We're on less than a week. Yeah,
What it's
less than a
Friday,
week.
right? Is it this Friday or next
It's
Friday?
Friday the 13th.
Friday the
Next
13th.
Friday the 13th.
Next Friday.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah. Next Friday in the movie. Next Friday.
Friday the
Yeah.
13th. So Karate Combat is a new league, right? It's kind of newer and it's a little bit different. It's in a box. It's not in a ring. Like what is different about fighting in a box rather than a ring? Like I know you had one fight before, but what's different about it?
It's like a weird type of square where it's like angles, right? It's like a 45-degree angle. So when your feet get close to the edge, you'll fall over easily. It's just a weird concept. I don't even know why they have that, but it's a really weird concept. The guy that I fought last was trying to use the ring to his advantage, the square to his advantage, by pushing me off balance. So I don't like it because, it takes people out of their element in a way of they don't want to fight. So they're going to use it. I get it, but it's kind of fruity. It's like, all right, let me use this ring to beat you. Yeah.
Definitely different than what you've done in the UFC in the past for sure. You
Yeah.
know, different weight class too. You know, you're at 205 versus 185, right? Is that correct? So
Yeah. Way cut.
a little bit easier weight cut. Normally, it's like we're hanging out. You're like, I gotta watch every single carb and everything, but I think you're pretty much on weight.
I got to watch everything I eat. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
So, but you know what? The 205ers, they coming from like 220, 230. It's a different type of density, and those guys hit really hard. I have confidence in my skill set, and I'm more likely I'm a tweener, like 195. I'm like perfect around there.
yeah,
So this is good.
yeah. Oh yeah. What what are you doing to prepare differently for this fight rather than like previous fights?
Staying away from people. That's one. Love that. Eating correctly and working out and just being more disciplined. That's
Dis-
literally it. I'm working on the sleep part. Man, that part sucks.
yeah, you don't sleep, right? For the most part.
No, I don't.
What what about fighting? I know we've talked a lot about life in general, but like what about fighting translates into real life? Like what core like principles are you taking from fighting and like you're applying it to real life?
First of all, I think everybody's fighting. Every day is a fight. Waking up is a fight. Staying committed is a fight. Doing what you love to do is a fight. There's always a fight. So I'm just taking the real side of it, the real element, and punching someone in the face. But fighting is a challenge. Every day you have to wake up and do things, and maybe things that you don't want to do, but it comes back down to discipline. And there's going to be those days where you don't want to do it, but you have to remain true to yourself. So another way of saying it is your mind has to be stronger than your feelings. And just like in the fight, you can't really give up. I mean, you can, but the bitch will come out of you. That's the same thing in everyday life. You can't give up. There's going to be those obstacles, and there's going to be other opponents that are bigger and stronger. The same way life is going to come at you with different curveballs, but you still got to bite down and go for it. So
Yeah, and I think you do a really good job at explaining that. You know, you've definitely been instrumental like lately and I've had kind of like some definite life changes personally in getting more disciplined, you know, because I can tend to be a little undisciplined at times. But just talking about, you know, that perseverance and I love when you say like fuck your feelings. Like, fuck your feelings, you know?
you
Like,
feel, bro.
you gotta really stay disciplined and stay focused, and I think a lot of a lot of people, like, really need to hear that, right? I think and we've talked ad nauseum, and we'll get into it here, like, I think society is lacking definitely some really good role models, right? We talk about this all the time. Some real men to actually lead us. If you look at the people that have been elevated, especially in modern day entertainment culture, we have words for them, but the culture, we'll talk about it, is just like it's definitely taking people away from their masculinity or to a different to a darker side, right? And I think you as a as a fighter, I think your approach is different than a lot of people's, right? And people think about fighters as just like just savages, and and you're like well dressed, well spoken. You went to like theater school and all that. And so I think like you're not, I wouldn't say you're like the typical like when you think masculine on part of it, right? Like the fighting aspect and everything, but you really embody the different persona that I think a lot of people and a lot of young men and even old men today really need to like are really missing in society. So like can you talk a little bit about just how you approach like or what's your approach to masculinity, and how do you see it differently than what's being portrayed in the culture right now?
I mean, it's gonna be a controversial topic. I feel like a lot of men lately, in my opinion, what I've seen, we're kind of losing that masculinity, or it's been viewed as toxic. Men are turning to girls. I'm like, what the what? And it's just
Literally.
you think about it, that masculinity. You hear a guy like Andrew Tate, he talks about stuff like that, and you know, in the beginning, I was listening. I was like, what is this dude talking about? But the more I started listening to him, I'm like, oh, okay, I think I know what he's trying to say. And the main thing that I got from him was more of, hey, man, stop focus on these chicks, focus on your shit, get your shit together. That shit will come later. Like, be a man, stop complaining and just get out there and do what you got to do. And that's another thing too. We don't complain as men because I've learned that for men, when we have problems or things we got to work on or fix, we're not supposed to talk about it. We actually get stressed out. Where women, they actually talk about it to feel better because for their emotional side, they need to release that. We have to keep that in, but everything comes to a balance. Because obviously, if you keep it in too much as a man, then you retaliate. And for women, they express too much. It's like, all right, bitch, shut up. But that's to that point where you have to have balance. And right now, I feel like masculinity is kind of dropping. And when I say masculinity, I'm not just talking about beating on your chest, talking about I'm an alpha. To me, that's just dumb. In my opinion, true masculinity, you have to be able to protect and provide physically, but there's also the emotional side of protecting and providing, especially for a female, because yeah, they need that. And that's where we kind of coexist to balance each other. Working on yourself is one thing, and simple small thing as manners. Like, yeah, I take pride into waking up and picking out my outfits, and taking care of myself. That says one thing. It says I have respect for myself. I remember when I used to go to the gym, I dress up. I don't nothing crazy. And one of my teammates was like, bro, you here to train or model? And I'm like, bro, I'm an athlete. I'm supposed to take care of myself. But a lot of people don't, they don't think about that. They don't focus on that. I love fashion. I think fashion is important. It kind of shows who you are and it represent yourself. But at the same time, I like to become a better version of myself. And what that means for me is growth. Every day is a fight. It goes back to that. Every day is a fight. And every chapter is going to demand a better version of you.
Yeah, and I think you touched on a couple things right there. Like Andrew Tate, right? You hear that word or people hear that name and they automatically get turned off. And I would say
Yeah.
some of his principles, like the what you said versus what Andrew Tate says, you're kind of saying like very similar things, but the way you say it versus the way he says it, two different things. And I
Well, you
mean,
got to listen to understand.
straightforward and or like a bit arrogant and definitely like not the like I think it's sometimes not about what you say but how you say it, right? And so I think
All
that's
about the tone.
it's definitely missing from a masculine perspective right now is that masculine voice and being able to articulate what you're saying without pissing like most of the population off, you know what I'm saying? So I think that's definitely missing, and I think you do a really good job at articulating that, and then also, like, walking in your truth, right? And also if also you can whoop ass. You know what I'm saying? Like you like to dress nice, but you can still whoop ass. You know what I mean? Like
You
it's
don't have to.
what
You don't have to.
you don't have
I'm
to,
saying
but
you
if you need to.
nah.
I'm just saying you in particular, like a lot of men, like every guy wants to be able to just spinning head kick someone in the face. I'm sorry. I don't know anybody, any guy that's like, if you could give them a superpower and they could just spinning head kick people, like wouldn't take it. I'm just saying you really walk it. And I think a lot of people do look up to you, which is why over the past 6 months, we've kind of talked about this upcoming program that you're looking to bring, like, and help men come into their masculinity, right? Like, which I think you're a walking testament of like the new age of like a walking like of like masculinity, right? Where it's like I still dress nice, I'm respectful to women, and like I'm really working on myself rather than like what society does, which is just like another chain, another car, like another girl, fuck these bitches, get money. Like we're like our conversations are not that, right? It's like, how can I be the best version of myself and like and still be a provider and still be the masculine figure that I want to be. So touch a little bit about like your views of masculinity, maybe a little bit about kind of what the program is that you're going to be unveiling and just kind of give us a little preview or a little color on all that.
To be fair, I kinda did this accidental, helping out a friend, and this person embodied it so well, and I wasn't thinking too much of it, and he embodied it so well that I was like, "Wait a minute, I might have something here," and of course, working with you a little bit, we were talking about it, and you kinda helped me realize that, a lot of people will need something like this, and I wasn't thinking too far into it, but it's good to have great minds to come together and kinda be like, "Hey, let's articulate this differently," and from what I've seen that's happening and for what, this program that I think could offer, I think it could realign masculinity. And it's just one version, I'm sure there's people out there that can do it differently. Like either Andrew Tate, he does it in his own way. But what I like about this is to better yourself, not just the financial side, because I see that a lot. It's like the cars, the women, the houses. Like, yeah, that's great. But what about you?
Yeah.
What about you as an individual? What about you as a person? And that's what I say, to become a better version of yourself. And, life is happening. It's happening with or without you. If I die today, there's still going to be traffic on the 75. So, what are the things I need to do to become a better version of myself? I think isolation is one of them. Isolation is a gift. That for the few times that I've isolated myself, I kind of dove into myself to become a better version because it forces you to face these sides of yourself that you kind of put away, such as trauma, right? And when I saw those trauma, I had to break through with that. And that's just one of the aspects of it. It depends on everyone because everyone's different. But what I really feel something like this can touch base on is to become that better version. We all know that version of ourselves that we either don't want anymore, we don't want to tolerate, or we just want to improve. And it's not too specifics to say, well, you got to do this, 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 and this, and this. The main thing I think is spending more time with yourself. A lot of people can't be alone. I think most men can be alone, but it's a different type of aloneness. There's alone and there's spending time alone, right? And that spending time alone is sitting with yourself, having that one on one full conversation to get to the real why of where you are and the habits you want to break, which are smoking, or in my opinion, the final boss, porn, right? If we can eliminate that,
Yeah.
we can get rid of porn. That's the final boss to me. We can get rid of that. Then we can switch our mentality to focus on inward. And once that inward starts to manifest, guess where it goes? Outward. And then you start to attract the right people. And it's not bowing, basically, because think about it this way, there's a lot of people we don't like, right? Stop trying to be liked by everybody. You don't even like everybody.
Yeah.
It's having that backbone to stand your ground, stand up for yourself, and to stand up for what's right.
Yeah, and I think, you touched on a lot of things there and way more. We have way more to get into like on future podcasts, and I think this program's definitely something I'm super excited to be a part of. I'm just honored that I've been able to like get the training thus far, and I've seen, just for me personally, what I've given up, which is if anybody knew me 2 years ago and I said I stopped smoking pot, they'd be like, "Dude, yeah, right." But there was a moment where it was you told me, you're like, "Dude, James Bond doesn't smoke weed, dude." And I was like, "You know what?" But it took like, I mean, it took, like, that moment of realization, like, you're right, like, and especially, like, me, I've had a transformative year, I know you've had a transformative year, like, having my first baby and being, like, I remember being in San Diego and, like, I love to smoke weed, like, I just love to smoke weed and make music, but I was in San Diego with my family, and I was like, I was it was, like, either smoke pot by myself and hang out with myself and just be high or, like, be with my family, and there was, like, moments where I was fighting this, and then finally that one moment where you're just like, "Dude, like, James Bond doesn't smoke weed," and I'm like, "You know what? You're right." And so, it sometimes takes that friend to really bring you out of your shell. I've had a lot of friends, like, that I've done substances with, and then, like, it's good to have a friend that's like, "Dude, don't do that. Like, come on, get your shit together." So,
Yeah.
you
I
know, I
tell my friend all the time they fat, man. I have friends, I'm like, "Bro, you're fat." Like, you want me to sugarcoat it? Like, you're fat, and it sucks, but sometimes you need to hear that. And I remember back in the day when I was a full-time instructor, we would have people come in. And the thing with this is some people that are overweight, they don't realize it. So when you live in that atmosphere, that mindset for so long, it's normal to you. So some people that are doing stuff like smoking or whatever, yeah, it's like it's normal, or vaping, it's just normal. It helps me. It does this. That's great, but it's not really, really helping you. So I remember talking to a couple of clients that walked in who were like, yeah, I want to train 1 time a week. I'm like, bro, you need this more than 1 time a week. You need at least 3 times a week. And they didn't realize the importance of health. So I had to be very honest with them. Like, listen, you're fat and you're probably going to die before me. Now, some people could hear that and be like, oh, how dare you? Or some could be like, you know what? You're right. But that's one of the things you have to learn to be, in my opinion, as that type of man, where you got to be unapologetic for the truth
yeah,
and you got to stand up for what you believe in. Right. So,
and I think that's one of your principles of the program, right? Like, be unapologetic sometimes. Just sometimes say what you mean and don't be like, "Hey, you're fat."
don't
No,
be a dick.
don't
Speak
say,
your truth.
"Sorry that if this offends you." Like, no, you're just fat. I'm not gonna say sorry. Like, that's it, like, straight up.
Sorry, bro.
Yeah,
I can't. How am I going to take advice from someone that's fat? Like, I can't. How am I taking you seriously? I'm
yeah,
sorry.
yeah,
I'm not.
yeah, exactly.
So,
Definitely this program, and I'm excited, like I said, to be able to, like, help mold it with you and help create it, and I definitely think it's gonna be something that is going to be super transformative for anybody that takes it seriously, and it's not an overnight fix, right? I'm still working on shit. I work on the final boss all the fucking time, bro. The final boss is tough. Fucking just the self doubt
we
is
all
but well, no one talks about it, no one talks about stuff like that, and I men as just as men, we need to be able to, like, have real conversations and honest conversations with each other. I know I have my own program that I work on every week, and I try to have at least one uncomfortably honest conversation with the people that I love every single week, and I think having these real, like, honest conversations with each other is gonna create, like, awareness, and then sometimes you just need to name it. Like, you just need to say, like, I'm struggling with this. Isn't that funny?" And then the other guy laughs, and they're like, "Yeah, me too." And it's like, "Yeah, alright, good. I'm not
yeah,
the,"
yeah.
like, and
At one point, we all did it. Yeah, I was watching porn a bunch, because it's so easy to access,
yeah,
and there's a lot of problems with that. You do it so much that at some point it becomes numb. Then you don't even know how to really, talk to a female or treat a female intimately. You get into that phase, and then it's just to get off instead of the balance of the intimacy. People don't wanna talk about it because it's, like, viewed a little differently or you're weak, like, "Get the fuck out of here, bro." Like, be a man about it, and that's one of the things I'm talking about, doing the things you think you can't do, and when you learn to let go of that and let go of yourself in that realm, I really think you elevate,
yeah,
right, and become a better version of yourself, but you have to be able to get comfortable with the uncomfortable and step into that realm, and every time I've done that, every time I've gotten uncomfortable and I've gotten comfortable with it, I remember growing. But there's a point where I stopped and I just, oh, I'm comfortable. I don't need to do much. And I haven't progressed. I haven't become better. I physically and naturally, I feel it. So, improve yourself.
Yeah, and
Focus on you.
I think having that community of like, because daily. I mean, it's you might have a great week, great month, great 3 months, but there's always life is always coming at you, right? We were trying to talk about yesterday
Always.
the proverbial wall, and sometimes you need someone to just be like, dude, like just run through the wall, like get your sledgehammer out and break them up.
I run through the wall. I like that.
You know,
Man, just go straight through that. I
go
used to teach
through it.
children, right? I used to teach children and, at 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, that age group, I mean, their attention span is like this, but they're also at like a march to kind of whatever you teach them, it stays with them. From like 3 to maybe 7, man. Whatever you teach them, it will stay with them. They see you as an abusive person, that shit will latch on. That's usually where the trauma comes in. And for a lot of kids that age, they quit things, right? Because for kids, it's easy to quit. I don't want to do this anymore. And what do parents do? All right, Timmy, what do you want to do? I want to play basketball instead. So what we have to do is teach them that when they hit this wall, which will naturally happen, it's up to us as the instructor and the parents to kind of hold their hand to guide them to get out of it. Because later on in life, that's what's going to happen. To get that promotion, it's going to be challenging. It's going to be hard. So if we teach them at that age to say, you cannot give up because this is challenging, we're teaching them or rewiring their brain that they have to persevere. They have to go through that wall. They can't just stand there and just do nothing. But you have to understand the principles and the concept of kids of why they quit. And the same thing with adults too. We just think it's a little easier. Remember, we were so happy to grow up. Now we're like, fuck, what was I thinking? What was I thinking?
Like
I
piggybacking
want to
on,
pay my own bill. Fuck.
I think life's a journey, right? And like you're at the end of your fighting career, like per se, right? Like what is one thing
Yeah, bro.
what which is crazy. I mean,
It's
like I
weird
was
to even hear that.
yeah, like it's weird 100% because that's how you've just been a fighter your whole life. And not to say that you're not a fighter, still, you're still actively fighting, but eventually, I mean, unless you're Tom Brady, like you're gonna retire. And and so what's one thing that you wanna tell the 25-year-old Uriah Hall out there, right? The guys coming up, like, what's one thing that you wanna tell or one thing you coulda told the 25-year-old self that you now know now? And what like, how can we bring that future Uriah into a deeper, like, a better state of mind?
Man, I mean, there's so many things I can say, but honestly, I'll just give that dude a hug. I've been through some shit prior to that. I came from Jamaica as an immigrant, and just the upbringing, life was different back home. We didn't wear shoes. Shoes was like a luxury. And if we had shoes, it was like for special occasions. That's probably why I own so many fucking pairs of shoes that I haven't even worn yet. So shoes was a luxury to have. And we didn't have a pipe, the freaking faucet right now, that's so easy. We didn't have that. We had to travel miles to fill up buckets and stuff like that to come back home and, fill up our drums. And we made 6 trips. We're talking 2.5 miles. And it was fun for us as kids. So coming to America was just that wake up. I got to get a job. I got to get bullied. It was just like a different version. But again, I grew from that as well because when you go in different environments, you gotta have an open mindset to learn. So I would just give that dude a hug, man, because a lot of times in our trauma years, especially as kids, we don't understand what we're going through, and we wish we could have someone be like, "Hey, man, it's gonna be okay." And I remember when I spoke at schools because I do some anti-bullying campaign stuff. I would tell these kids, "Listen, there's life after this. I know right now you guys are in school and you think this is the world. This is just a chapter. There's life after this. There's taxes. There's getting a job. There's so many things you gotta do, so I'll just give that dude a hug.
Yeah, that's a cool. That was not where I was expecting you to go with that, but I appreciate your rawness, and again, I just do feel like it's the honesty of just sometimes it's okay to not be okay, even though you're this fighter and you're this ultimate man's man. But sometimes it's yeah, we're still struggling with shit. I think everybody does, and again, I think that's the real power of this program and just this community that you're building is just the ability to kind of talk about this stuff and be a support system for young men, old men, middle-aged men. Just
Middle aged men.
just starting
Well,
to get
it
crazy,
goes back
starting
it
to get
goes back
crazy.
to
Like, I'm like, "What the hell? I used to be able to do whatever the hell I
I
want,
called you out on that, bro.
and now I
No
got."
dad bods,
uh,
bro.
I wouldn't say full dad bod, it's just dad belly. I'm like, "Where did this thing come from?" But,
That
just
bad, bro. Dad bod. But hey, you still look good, so it cancels it out. You good.
well, yeah, yeah.
When I was in the Ultimate Fighter, just to give an example, I was doubting myself a lot because it was a certain type of training I was used to. And, like my coaches prior would yell at me and, it will shut me down. And I didn't know that was a problem because a lot of coaches, they don't listen. It was like my way, tunnel vision. And, they would yell at me, you got to do this, you got to do this. And somehow my nervous system was shut down. I couldn't understand it. And I endured that for a long time. So when I got on the Ultimate Fighter and Chael Sonnen, who was a coach, I said to him, I have a problem with kind of stepping in that realm because it's just hard for me to believe in myself. And I don't know how to articulate it to coaches and stuff like that. And he broke it down. He's like, yeah, because you're a smart person. When someone yells at you, it's almost like a caveman language. You don't respond to it. He's like, you respond differently. And I was like, really? He's like, yeah, you're articulate. And he spoke to me like this, normal. He was like, all right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go out there, keep your hands up, move your feet, stay off the bottom. Okay. And that made sense to me. But when someone was like, I need you to go out there and I was like, ah. But in the fight world, you can't be a bitch. But it's stuff like that. It's learning your language. It's kind of like love languages, right? You got to learn your love languages. And that was my fight language, if you want to call it that. And being okay with it because society kind of says this is the way. Now, there are moments where, don't get me wrong, of course, they'll be like, hey, man, we're down by 2. Let's fucking go. That I understand. But if you can't articulate someone else's language, then it's going to be hard to understand someone else, right? Let's take the female, for example. We'll use them. They have different ways of communicating. They're affected by the sun, the moon, the stars, whatever. But a lot of time, as most men, we're like, oh, I don't give a fuck. I'm a man. You got to do what I say. And there's an imbalance. I'm not saying to be weak, but you have to have a balance. And there's an authority of a masculinity which a woman love. But let's be honest here. Women only go after what? The strongest dude. Because women are naturally loyal to their feelings. It's how they feel. It's not a bad thing. It's just it regulate more for them than us. So when they feel things, they feel it more than us. That's why when we have a conversation, they could cry easily. Like, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying? Because they feel it 10, 20 times more. But we just have to learn to sit with each other, to listen to understand, and not listen to reply so we can understand each other to be a balance. Where you don't have to feel like you're dimming yourself as a man, and she doesn't feel like she has to be the man in relationship, if that makes sense. So in other words, it's just listen to understand, not listen to reply. So in the fight world, my coach had to listen to understand to speak my language, and it made all the difference.
Yeah, so definitely another thing missing in society with all the noise that we have out there, right? It's like that even just that principle right there, listening to actually understand somebody and just being I think that also comes with like for me being ADD, like ADHD, like, it took me a while, like, it took me, like, years of meditation to just be able to, like, "Alright, let me just sit and actually hear what somebody's saying," and I think that that comes piggybacks on that what you were just saying, right? Which is just you gotta listen to yourself, you gotta have time with yourself so that you can even relate to somebody else and be able to listen to what they're actually saying, so I think they kinda go hand in hand for sure. Well, I know you got practice coming up. This has been great. We got a couple things upcoming. We got your fight upcoming. Excited for to see that, to see you whoop some ass. I know you've been saying you're in good spirits.
Yeah, calm, man. I've been. It doesn't even feel like a fight week. I'm like, what's going on, bro? And again, I think my nervous system right now is just like, bro, you've been doing this since you were 16, not taking anything away from my opponent, not saying he didn't accomplish his thing to get to where he is in his journey, his path. But fuck that dude. I don't give a fuck. I'm Uriah Hall. And as funny as that is, sometimes you have to say that to yourself. You look at certain boxers, you're like, why is he so cocky? Motherfucker, what else are you supposed to do? I'm supposed to go out there and be like, yeah, he beat me. Like, I don't understand if some people think like that for athletes. There's a reason why they're athletes. They're above you. You're normal. They're above that. So, you got to have that mindset. But yeah, fuck that dude.
Yeah.
Big headed dork.
Fucking fuck that guy. So you're needless to say, you're pretty dialed in, right?
I'm locked.
So this is the Elev8 Event Series Podcast, okay? And I do have one last question I ask everybody. We're gonna have the Hall and All podcast, 100%. That's coming. So don't worry. We're gonna dive deeper into all the topics that we talked about today. But I gotta
Yeah.
bring us back to the Elev8 Event Series Podcast. You're done with the fight. You get a big win. What is like your ultimate? I just need you to, there's nothing weird's going to happen. Okay. I just need you to, I'm not going to draw anything on you. There's nothing weird that's going to happen. I just need you to close your eyes just for a brief moment and just picture you can do anything as far as an event goes, or Uriah Hall event. It could be whatever you want it to be. What's your ultimate event, like the ultimate event for Uriah Hall?
An event where we're all throwing spinning kicks. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. An ultimate event. Oof. An event where we're all okay. It's the program we've been working on, the 00 program. And we're all there in our suits. And it's a Great Gatsby theme.
Well, I got one of those. Got one of those coming right up. So we got a Great Gatsby
You
theme.
did the same thing, bro.
Yeah, we got that. That can a lot of times I talk to people ask that question and I'm like, that's a future thing, but that's literally a March 12th, y'all. So Elev8 Event Series, March 12th, Great Gatsby. Get your ticket. We'll talk more about
There you go.
the program there. And Uriah, thanks for coming on. Go whoop some ass. And as we always say, stay black.
Got no choice. All right.